everyone, welcome back to our channel. In today's video I will be doing the scary job of the cam chain replacement. I have the kit, I have a toolkit over there, I have my instructions. To be honest with you, none of us have ever done this before and it is slightly scary. But let's see what of a mess I can make. Are notoriously hideous and rusty. I mean, mine are an absolute state, so I dread to think if any of these are going to come off properly. I do actually have 10 that I'm waiting for, 10 new ones to put back on once we've finished this. So
we're going to do the other 2.
And what have we got? Only 8?
12.
Oh, 12. Okay, you'll notice that number 3 on my core pack is quite corroded. I'm not sure what that means, that was the line I was just told to say. So, time to tackle these bad boys. On other cars that we've done this on, these have actually ended up breaking, so I'm just going to give them all a quick squirt of some penetrating fluid. Excellent. To kind of get them all a little bit started. Who else absolutely loves the smell of this stuff?
So when you replace these, you have to keep this bit, and also in there is a little rubber washer which you also keep, but it's worth replacing them. It's like 20 quid for the whole lot, and then we'll fit stainless steel bolts from David John Fabrications, and that replaces them all with stainless steel, so you don't have to worry about them ever again.
Yay! Not horrific, to be fair. Out of the 12, not 10, I actually managed to get 7 out without them being rounded off, so that's good. Oil milk pot. One thing I was going to show you though is why it's kind of important to have new ones on standby. When you pull them out, this one for example, it's all a little bit, well, it's not all in one piece, it's not what a new one's going to look like, so it is worth replacing them at this stage.
Yep.
Now for the fun bit, I'm going to try my hardest to smash a 7mm over the top of the ones that have been rounded. Hopefully that works.
You've got a socket on. Okay, so while we were here, I thought I would have a look at the spark plugs. It doesn't actually look in too bad a condition. They actually seem alright. A bit blacked up.
Better than the other ones I've seen, but obviously I've got new ones to go in there. Anyway, it was more that I was being curious. one is less exciting. It's quite oily.
Towards the end.
Oh.
Okay, he's getting oilier as we progress. Put it out and show us the tip.
Okay, less oily. Definitely the middle two are the worst.
Oil on there.
Oil on the top. So next job will be to remove the two pulleys and the tensioner. I'm not going to lie, using this feels a little bit ridiculous. It's slight overkill, but I do feel quite important holding Bertha right now. So the first one I'll be taking off, if my cameraman would like to come around, will be this one here, which is 13mm, and then this one here, which is 15, and then somewhere up there is the tensioner. We'll do the two pulleys first. The crank pulley is officially off. It was actually quite good fun with a little pulley thing, but the one thing I was going to show you is this can normally, or it's usual for the rubber to come away from the metal. So I wanted to have a quick look. This one actually looks like it's in really, really good condition. Excellent. So the next job is to jack up the engine. So I've got a block to spread the weight over the jack. This will be underneath my sump. I will put it so that it is touching it. Then I'll undo the engine mount across the top and then keep going till it is lifted. So, we've kind of skipped a little bit because with me being able to only just about barely hold a twig and the whole engine needing to be supported, I couldn't actually record and do it at the same time. So essentially what we've done is we've taken out this engine mount and this, I mean honestly look how rusty that is, and also how long a thread that took to take out. So we've taken off the engine mount and we've replaced it with this thing, which is what you're supposed to use. I mean, I don't know whether I'd personally take a jig on top of this, but it is holding it. This one, these are screwed in, this one is just sort of slotted in and the weight's holding it. I think it will be alright. I've been assured it's perfectly acceptable, but it's also scary looking, so maybe I will be careful of my fingers. So with a little bit more room, we can actually take this clip off. So the red clip pushes in at the end, and then in theory, oh, look at this! Hours and hours of training to be a mechanic, and I've just done it all by myself. That's all. Excellent. So we are now back looking underneath the car. We are almost there, it's crazy close. So the next job will be to remove this one here, which is a 13, and this one here, which is a 16. That one is nice and really difficult to get to, so I'm going to have to use a ratchet spanner. There is normally another one which would be on the supercharger. Obviously my supercharger is still out, so we won't be removing that one, but there is one more that I will show you when I get to that one too. So today we've come out in the barn and it is quite literally blowing an absolute gale. I apologise in advance, I'm not really sure how well the audio will pick up, but I'm just waiting for the barn to fall down on us basically. Anyway, today's job, first job, will be to take off the oil pump. There are 8 10mm bolts in here. They go all the way around and up the top. There are 8 of these altogether, and then there is one Allen key which is right at the top. So we will be starting by taking that off first. Then we've only got a few bits until we can actually take off the existing cam chain, and I am beyond excited to finish this job. Let's get started. So on close inspection, the Allen key is actually a Torx, but these are my favourite. I think that they're such cool shape. Anyway, in the meantime, while I am not 100% ready to do anything in this area, I've kind of covered it up. There is dust kind of flying around due to the lack of roof over there. So yeah, we'll just take that off again in a minute. I'll see what I do. In the meantime, let's get this off. So all of the bolts are now off. All I have to do now is just, so close to my face. All I have to do now is just take it off. I always hate this bit because I always make it sound so easy and I can never get it off, but I've got my screwdriver, trying to pry, see if it does it. So, as expected, I was pulling for like 10 minutes, thinking surely it's going to budge soon, for me only to reach out and touch this little thing. Apparently there's 9, guys. Definitely 9. So now all 9 are off. I can try and pull it again. I don't know when I'm going to be able to or not. Hey! I don't know my own strength. So good news in that I don't think there's any damage. I've had a quick look over, apart from that bit. Ordinarily there should be a gasket in here, there should be a gasket in here, and there should be a gasket that goes all the way around the outside. All 3 of those have stayed on the car, so I will be popping those out in a bit to check those. I've also got the crank pulley O-ring thing that goes in there too. That's the one that I really liked because it looks squidgy, but absolutely is not. So let's get the gaskets out. So the main one around the outside is out. Time to get the little ones out, hopefully. They can be pinched. To be fair, they're in quite good condition.
Cool. Yeah, nice one.
Just popped. Okay, so time to take the rocker cover back off and my nice tissue bits, and then we can take off the 3 plugs, or the 2 plugs and the bit on the side, and then we can get access to the chain. So this will be the first one I take off. I think, oh man, I've never used this socket before. Today's going to be a special day. Oh, blimey, that comes off quicker than I thought it was going to. It's got a nice little coloured O-ring. See that? It's like purple.
It's recording.
So my oil pump is off. It is, however, disgusting. I have popped some before and after pictures, which I'll be popping up on Instagram and Facebook. However, I absolutely love getting something filthy and making it really clean. So I'll be using my engine degreaser, getting it all done, using blue paper towels. Once it's all clean, then I'll be using pressurised air just to make sure that there's no tissue bits left, and then the back of it all over again. So I didn't go the whole hog because it would take ages, but it looked quite good. I think I've only used engine degreaser, and then I followed that up with a different type of brand brake cleaner, so I'm quite pleased with how it has turned out. Now we just have to tackle that. Right, so before I clean it up, I'm going to take out my crank pulley gasket. It is this one here. Kind of, it's dirty. It doesn't actually come out by just popping it off. I'm actually going to have to drill in a nail thing to the side of it carefully, and then you can pull it out and it will sort of popper itself back out again. My screw is in. I'm kind of hoping, I'm hoping it's going to be a pull. Hey! So apart from the obvious hole, I'm quite pleased with that. This is what I mean by deceiving, because it looks like it's going to be squidgy and then you actually squeeze it and it's like, it's rock solid. It's blowing my mind a little bit. Okay, so I've given it a quick clean. I haven't actually spent ages on this compared to other bits and bobs that I've been cleaning, but it's come up, I think, really well. So, inside and out. So, what I will do now is I will pop my new gaskets in, the 3 gaskets that I mentioned earlier, and then I'm just going to leave this to dry. I mean, I'm going to give it 24 hours, but I am not going to lie, it's so windy today and there is such a draft coming through, it probably will be dry in about 2, but never mind. I'll give it a day and then I'll put it back on tomorrow. So these are slightly different sizes to each other, so they're quite easy to work out which one goes where. This is the smaller one, and then this is the bigger one, and then obviously this is the enormous one. I'll start with this one first. Okay, so now we're all in. I'm just going to go round and just make sure that none of it is twisted, because several of the gaskets that I've taken off have been twisted. Nope, we are all straight and good to go. So this will go back on the car tomorrow. So we are again. So we are back to this cam chain. What we have managed to do, it was really difficult to record because we had 3 people in here, all with very short tempers, and it was quite difficult to have a camera up and running. So I shall talk you through what we did and how we did it so that you know. Basically, first of all we have to get the engine into the correct time. And to do that, there are dark links on the chain. This is a single link up here and a single arrow. And then the same again at the bottom, we can get the camera to move. There are 2 dark chains here and here and 2 arrows that line up through. What we discovered is that it's quite difficult to get them to line through. You have to turn it quite a number of times, because otherwise they kind of match, they kind of don't, but they have to match exactly. Once they match exactly, you should then be able to just make sure using the camshaft lock? I don't know what you call that, probably a lock. And this works by popping it up on here. These flat edges, flat bottoms, go on the flat edge here, and then those, it's got 2 little legs, and then those legs go into those 2 circular holes there. If they all line up and the links all line up, you are good to go. I am going to warn you though, we did have to go round and round and round and round and round, and I never thought we'd do it. So just keep going if yours doesn't line through very straight away. This is then used when you want to take off that sprocket, but we won't be doing that yet. The first job is to take off the tensioner, which is up and around the back. We will then be taking off the chain, the lower sprocket and the top sprocket to replace all of those, and we have popped in a cable tie just to make sure that if we move anything from this point onwards, the chain does not slip and fall right down to the bottom. So, with that explanation, all gobbledygook, let's take off the tensioner first. So it's pretty much impossible to see, but the tensioner bolt is underneath here. It's a 19mm one. I've managed to connect it and I shall be pulling from the top, but that is basically to show you where it is and what kind of angle that you're looking for.
One chain tensioner. Nicely done, Bob.
And my little chain tensioner thing is out. That was the hardest bolt ever. So in the end I've popped another bar on it to give me a little bit more of an extension. It kind of goes over where the oil cooler, oil filter bit is, and then we put a short breaker bar on it. Could sort of get that first bit gone, and then afterwards it was alright to do. However, one thing I would say is that our engine has been draining of oil for like 3 weeks. So I imagine if it hasn't been and you do it all the like straight away, there probably would be a lot of oil that comes out, so just prepare your floor just in case. Anyway, I'm not sure what we'll do next. I think it's removing the chain. I shall double check and then I will tell you in a minute. So I found this thing intriguing because I couldn't really work out how it worked, but it turns out this, if I take that cap thing off, the way it works is when that is fully out, it is pushing against the chain to give it maximum tension. However, it would also, if I push down on it, that little bit goes in, therefore releasing the tension. I think
it's pushed down way harder than that.
Yeah, I'm pushing down as hard as I can. But that is as far as I can get that to go in. But it just shows you the principle of that pushes in and out and therefore gives you tension. So I wasn't strong enough to do this, but if you were to push it properly, it should go all the way in. So, I mean, you wouldn't really reuse it, but if you wanted to reuse it, that's how you would have to prepare it. And that is how my new one looks, ready to go in the new, to go back into my engine all nice and new. So the next job is to remove the guides. They are held on, so it looks kind of like that. These are my new ones. It looks like that on the engine. So there are two 10mm bolts here and here, and then this sort of slides down and hooks, and then this one sort of rests on a bit of metal. I'll show you actually inside the car as well what it looks like. But essentially I'm taking off these two bolts. Hold your horses, guys. I have jumped the gun slightly. Before you take out your holders, they can't quite come out until there's more room, so you have to take out the top sprocket to kind of make everything a bit more loose to be able to take them out. This is an 18mm long reach socket. I've popped the locking tool back so that nothing else turns, only the bolt, and hopefully it should all cut out.
What else have you done?
Bolt. The thing that came out of it originally.
Crank.
So I'll be putting that back in, winding it in for this to be able to pull against, learning how to attach this, and then hopefully pulling it and it should come off. So just to confirm, always check which direction this is going in, because for the 10 minutes that it took to set up, I've just completely undone it all. So we're back to where we started, trying to undo this. None of it.
Don't think so. Just keep going.
That was quite scary. No, but I am so happy it's off. So basically, this tool works by, you kind of have to loosen it all the way down to the end. These then, this is on the car. These then go around and behind it and clamp it into place like this. And then this tightens up against the bolt that I've put in, and it tightens it and tightens it and tightens it until this comes off, basically. It's a really clever contraption, I'm not going to lie, but terrifying, because I wasn't quite sure what to expect if it was going to suddenly jam off at me. But it was okay, it's done.
That's it, stop. Put the lock tool in place. Just go on it again and do it again. That's it.
So I have torqued this bolt to 75 foot-pounds. Because now that is moved, that is now where it's going to stay, I can take out the locking tool. So now I will be putting the new chain on. So this is the dark link at the top. It's a single dark link at the top which goes on to line up with that little arrow. If you can actually see that. There's a little arrow underneath there. Just make sure that's connected, and then if I go back down to the underneath and sort of size. I've got to somehow push it up with it. Let me take this out first. I think I've just discovered why it's not going to reach. running down the bottom, that is still in place.
You need to move or take it.
And then those should still be torch. It runs through those guides and back down, and I will just need to jiggery poke to get this onto the sprocket. And then I believe we have actually managed to do it. I'm just going to show you. The 2 dots are still here, so we are still lined up. We just need to put it on properly.
Basically, we realised we do have to take a cam sprocket off in order to be able to put the chain on at the bottom. So we're now just putting it all back together. Cam sprocket goes on last, guys. The arrow on the black link. And you can see the 2 black ones on that. So we've just got to put tensioner back in.
And tighten up.
Oh yeah, put the guides back on.
So, last almost job is to put the tensioner back in. So this is a new one. It's already pushed in, like I showed you earlier. There is basically the hole that it came out of. You pop that in, and then that goes over the top, like so, and then screw it in. It's kind of a fiddly one, but it's fine.
Can't really get a view on it, I'm afraid, guys. It's a bit hard. It's on the back there.
I feel like a midwife, and I'm like, 10 centimetres. Ouch! So we're now at the stage where I can pop these 2 plug type things in and the cam sensor. I've popped new O-rings on all of these as well. So let's put these back. So now we have popped the oil pump sort of cover thing back on. It looks quite significantly better than what it did when it came off. So now we will be putting the 9 bolts back. They're all 10mm, but there are 8, I'll show you, 8 little ones that go around the outside, and then there is one longer one which goes in the middle hole. So I'll put all of those back on. I also changed the crank O-ring gasket thing, which was the stiff one and not the squidgy one, even though it looks like it is. That was quite good fun. So now the oil pump is back on. The next job will be to reattach the idle pulley, which I've kind of just sat there for now. I'll be putting on the crank pulley, which is just over there with the new bolt. Well, it's not a new bolt there, but it will be. And then the tensioner. So once we've put all of that back together again, I think we're back up onto the rocker cover. It's just essentially the reverse of what we did to get them off. one of the engine mount bolts here. So I shall continue tightening that up and then join you in a second. So everything is as far back together as we can take it. I've plugged in things like the evaporation canister top and bottom bits and pieces. This I shan't bother until the rocker cover's back on, but we should be good to release the, where is it? Oh, that's downwards. Release the jack and the block of wood that has been underneath the sump to try and spread the weight. We should hopefully now be able to release it back down. One-handed is probably a bit of a mission, but I shall do it slowly and hopefully, if there's any issues, I need to. So we are now on the slow road back to putting all of this back together again. This is the last of my gaskets, so that's ridiculously excitable. These are also new. I would say that we have bought this kit before from Eurocar Parts, and these seals that go around the spark plug bits, they are really loose on the Eurocar Parts kit. So I've bought myself, this is just a cheap one from eBay. I'll pop the link in the description below. However, I've just tested it and these are really nice and tight. So I am chuffed to bits with this. I really rate it so far. So we are about to pop our rocker cover bolt things back in. What we have new ones of these. However, you need to keep these things that look kind of a bit like cotton reels. You need to keep those, but the originals are quite difficult to take off. They slide up and down, but they don't come out, and you can't twist them. So the way you take them out is I've made the vise near enough so that they can sit on top of each other. However, I'm not pinching them, and then I've sat them upside down, and then theoretically tap them with a hammer, and the old bolt should fall out, and you are left with the cotton reel thing. So I think it was 12 of these to do. I will join you once they're all done. So I'm just in the process of rebuilding the new ones. So there is the long bolt that goes through, then there is the washer, then there is the original cotton reel thing, and then these are new rubber grommets. Mini tyres. So basically these are not the cheapest ones I could get. I could get them cheaper, but the guy who I would normally go to, who I'll put in the link anyway, he didn't have any in stock, so I've had to buy these on eBay and they were not the cheapest. But as we were in a rush, beggars can't be choosers. So I am just going to finish popping all of these back together, and then they shall be going back onto my rocker cover.
David Johns on Facebook provides the whole kit for approximately £20. That includes all the bolts and all the rubbers. You still have to use your own old collet things, but at least they're all stainless steel after this, so you don't have to worry about them rusting anymore. Happy days!
So when you put your bolts back in, do them in a crisscross pattern to spread it evenly. But guys, at that point you have officially finished. I'm not quite sure where my recording went to say thank you for watching, and obviously the beg for all of the subscribes, likes and comments, so apologies. But I really hope that you do come back and watch the next video, which I'm not really sure, maybe drive shafts? What do you think? I hope to see you soon.